catalyst wing. Okay. Yes, sir.
When you say foreign policy, you're talking about isolationism and imperialism, right?
Yes, I'm talking about that shift from isolationism to imperialism.
Okay. So this is what happens, like hitting on the Spanish Armada, or yeah, and this relates to foreign policy because they're imposing their military power to liberate other countries.
Are they just imposing it to liberate? Because
No, and
knowing
also
what
selfish
happens,
desires.
yeah,
They want Philippines.
right. So knowing what we know about about their desire for the Philippines, that's going to be impacting that foreign policy. Okay. Now, you guys did receive like certain handouts that could also relate to this. Like, I know did you guys receive the Anti-Imperialist League manifesto type thing? So if you want to take a look at that and see what that might have to say about it.
This is like two different events. It's just on the same day. It's like two completely separate.
Choose which one you think is probably going to be involving American. So this is Spain doing something first. That's America doing something. So that one's kind of, when I'm asking you for the isolation, so I'm kind of making, requesting that you make some judgment calls on your own. So,
Basically, what do you think
what do you think they would have thought about that situation? Would they have thought that it was something great where, hey, yay, we're going for peace, or would they thought it was something horrible, knowing what we know about who's getting what and how it's going to go. Okay.
You're talking about this paper?
I'm talking about that paper exactly. And how you think that paper is going to relate to the isolationists as well is something that you should consider. What is wrong?
Oh no.
Oh, okay. I just heard you singing and I thought maybe a cat was being strangled.
Well, one doesn't. One works, right?
You're cooking for a cable line. Cable link, back up. Okay.
I think you like take wire under the ocean, but do they do that then?
Yes. You can have that. Okay, back then it was, you couldn't stretch it quite as far, so you had to have the airport to come up and be maintained and work like that. So that's really why they take it. And eventually Wake Island was going to become a point of contention with the Japanese, but we're not there yet. But look at, was it peacefully taken? Did anybody contest it? Anything of that nature? Okay. You are I'm helping, because that's just the fee. That actually is the fee out of Hampton Roads that was created for that purpose. Well, I wouldn't put it up just yet, because some people put things in places where they might not necessarily be belong, so you might want to hold on to it and see. Well, it's gonna go in that year, but June is pretty busy, and this is a very busy year. So you might want to hold on to it until. Now. There should be a picture of the plan. Yeah, look how we're in it. You've also seen I require you to delve deeply into this sort of stuff.
Really see.
So you have to put in the right spot.
See the big one.
Whoops.
I can try this one. The one with
I'm gonna fail. I'm just
Don't say that. You're a beautiful gaping.
Yeah, I would not have been.
Yeah. So.
1988. 1738.
Okay, so what do you got? Trying to be helpful.
I wanna
Okay.
rephrase my point, but I gotta research it more. Dylan, do you have an eraser? Like a big eraser?
Every day.
Yes, I do.
But I got it so far.
You can probably also stand on it, because she might have a big razor. Which one should I give Mr. Cedric?
The hard one.
The hard one?
The hard one.
Okay, here's the hard one,
Not that hard.
because they wanted you to have the hard one.
I'm stupid.
Give me one of these. Give me one of these.
Yep.
Sam, ugly. Girl, love.
Yes,
So
sir.
nice to know. I'm saying I like that.
Quickly. How far are you? Along are you?
Ron,
You getting there? Okay. You need
I'm stupid.
look for any help from Mr. Cedric. Whichever one you're more comfortable with.
17, 38.
You should give one example about ice
Yeah,
cream. You just wanna say like what they would think, like
What
what an
was-
actual.
Let know what they would think, what their impression would be.
Never heard of that?
Because,
I don't understand.
you know, we don't have
It's just noise.
necessarily an accurate representation of what they actually would have said.
I was saying something, and then you start saying I didn't really hear what you're saying. I will say something. I'm giving up on the.
Brother, alternate method is
No,
like
it's just a
another way to
I know,
like
it's
clean the area.
Usually called.
Cause I mean, they pretty much just walked on the island and said,
This
this is
is
ours.
So, I mean, there's really not much in the way of
What?
way to do it, other than possibly, you know, figuring out who originally buying it from them. But I don't know that anyone was, I don't believe anyone was actually,
Really gives a crap.
yeah. So.
I know what you got. Go in the trash can. Just go. Drink the line. Show the picture. Pretty sick. I'm gonna hurt you.
So, well, when you shift, when you go to your war, I mean, that's America. US, yeah. True US, US's name and whatnot, but that was easily explained away, right?
Oh my god.
If you read the right book.
I would like literally like throw holy water on this tree.
I think it's to present some information.
Pineapple.
Which one does it have you do?
Well, the Cubans wanted.
It could be the pineapple. It could be the Capitol building.
We're getting ourselves.
Has to be pineapple.
Somebody else's.
Does it?
The answer's pineapple.
Somebody else's.
Which one are you doing?
William McKinley's speech to Congress favoring the annexation of Hawaii.
Yes, you are the pineapple, sir.
On the pineapple?
You are the pineapple, sir.
I
Oh.
thought I did, how come not the Capitol building? I'm giving a speech to Congress.
Because she is congresswoman.
Well, how do I know what she has if I don't know what I have?
Well, you need to talk to your classmates.
Oh, are we supposed to mingle around?
You're supposed to make, you can mingle around and see what other
Siri,
people
you're not a
have.
Siri, you're a pineapple.
But don't get off task, Mr.
Does
Siri.
anybody think they have the pineapple as their item, or do you think you have the Capitol building as your item?
So,
Fine.
I have the pineapple.
Pineapple
You
is.
supposed to be getting a wall?
Yeah, people.
Mr. McQuaid, am I supposed to place this on the timeline?
People wanting independence.
Are we supposed to put this on the timeline?
Well, they get involved because they want Cuba to have independence.
People don't follow
So
those
they
kind
want
of
Cuba to have independence.
So that's the shift.
I wouldn't do
Shift
that.
is-
I guess I should never put the tape, huh?
State of isolation.
Has
We got involved.
Oh, fire.
So now we have decided.
I want to be fire, already. I'll make a fire, already. I'll make a fire.
Police force.
Say that out loud.
What date do you have?
Just straight up.
What date do you have? What date do you have?
Oh, got it. Yeah.
Right?
I gotta start organizing my days a lot better because I don't do my homework until 10 o'clock.
What date do you have?
1898.
I know the year.
So,
of it.
May 1st.
which is state of isolation. It's hit rail against this entire country. So even the isolation is those are missing.
What's this? Saturday, I have a
Just talk about how they would decide to do this. So this was the idea that it was not something that was benefited the US and I should have been getting involved in. Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Actually, I'm
Okay.
sure I don't like it.
I would mention that,
What date do you
and
have?
then I would focus in on this one.
What date do you have?
Because that is, that's a month deal, okay? They need to pass the annexation
You'd be pretty
resolution.
close to the beginning. I think it was like
Um,
on that.
That was
the
the
second to last one.
There's
That's
still
still
more
in
things to
finger.
happen with
No, we're all
President
done.
McKinley and actually annexing.
Right now, y'all.
Annexing means it becomes American property. We are not taking Hawaii. The anti-American, anti-imperialist league. Okay. What are the anti-imperialist league?
What? I invest in your paycheck. I'll pay you $5 to get $10 back. Okay? I would invest in your paycheck.
It's the league that forms to argue against imperialism.
$20 and it's still on to the point.
That's not how that works.
Gentlemen,
What if he's trying to invest, and I don't think he knows what investing
Okay.
is?
I'm trying to invest in this page, that's why I want.
This is a little more broad.
so the anti-imperialists are using this for policy because they're trying to stop imperialism and isolationism. So how do you predict perfectly how this is foreign policy. They're trying to turn us back into looking at isolationism. So, explanation of how this is a shift from isolationism. It's not a shift.
100%.
It's a push back towards isolationism.
I actually just got my paycheck yesterday.
Okay? Does that make sense to you?
Yeah. No harm. Seriously.
How they view the creation of their own league.
No.
That's a good thing. You're the one person who gets to say that this was a good thing. Isn't that nice? You get to have a positive outlook on life.
Oh, thanks.
And you realize how much
What does it mean by
taxes-
handling this?
You realize how much money you lost on taxes?
Well, it's the situation here.
Actually, the government.
They created an entire league to push back against imperialism. How else would they dealt with it? Okay, so then, if you can't, why? Because this is actually a good way to do it. It lets people know where we stand, it lets people know what we want, it lets people have an idea of what we're going after. Any way of saying those sorts of things.
How would an isolation? Let's see, did you remember last year, we talked about live people?
Within
Some heroes and live people close.
$1,000 worth of tip.
Why would an isolation?
In between like 8 waitresses and 2 waitresses at a time.
So I would not have
Well, we were already in the show.
I mean, that's 14 days, so they're making $1,000 a day.
Yourself to say that. And keep walking.
What did these
Why can't you say that? Because
because the thing would gain independence.
without bigger support, you would not be able to gain independence, right?
And then you gotta come up with a different way that we could take this aside from this.
Okay. Well, what were they pushing for with the other journalism? Well,
I remember glad.
they were trying to get people
I had those on my phone. I listened to those breakfast
if
podcasts.
we were isolationists, would we get involved in foreign countries politics? No. So, this relates to foreign policy because the other journalism policy.
No, I like Ali.
We have foreign country politics, right? So boom, you have that right there. Okay.
Katie's up to your play. You know what I mean?
Wait a minute, this is different because this is how is it a shift? Prior to
But with another person.
this, prior to 1890, would we have gotten involved in this? Or would we have been too busy fighting the Civil War and getting our colonies, and you're getting our territories established? Trying to live out that process.
Have you seen,
So,
Jack's Sparrow song?
from isolationism.
This is they were trying to do a trust song. They got,
We you're starting to look on the outside of our own
so
borders.
it's like a famous journalist. And he was like helping with the song. He's like, yeah, guys, I just want to help
Does that make sense?
Airbnb movies last night.
Halfway through the song, it's like, this is putting us directly into looking at foreign countries and getting involved in everything.
Michael Baldwin.
Their governments.
November now.
Okay.
He always knows that. Wow, that
On
one
those
was
two, I'll
weird.
correct back to the check.
Hate emailing
You were failing me in that you
Yeah, and
chose
then
this
we like did like.
I know that you don't have
So, wait, are these more guys? I don't know.
That's how it is.
So, this is based on the USS Maine, right?
I bring this.
there's a picture over there that has just one chip. It was words there. Was words.
It's
Well, yeah, but it doesn't have to do with the other journals.
Julian Smith.
I'm gonna give this person the other journal.
Yeah.
YouTube. Julian Smith. Is your No, he ate jellyfish. Jellyfish.
Yeah, but we're gonna get there because we have to figure out who has what now.
Go eat
So-
actual jellyfish.
You actually have the picture of the because that's who pretty well said it, right?
So what is the installation? This is a good explanation.
Shit.
Hold on, wait a minute. Because you have to actually.
Nobody touched mine.
I just remember walking over.
What were you doing in isolation?
Sonic, so.
Oh, yeah. And these isolation.
Ice cream.
That's all it's only reminded me of.
That episode of SpongeBob where like SpongeBob takes his special ice cream and Squidward. And he like treats the ice cream like
You're not eat
Squidward.
the fruit pistachio ice cream.
Takes more
Yeah,
like all
I know
the
exactly what you're talking about.
The pistachio ice cream is not.
Do you all remember that episode of SpongeBob? Where the little kid threw a cone of pistachio ice cream on the floor and they thought it was SpongeBob.
They should have something about Puerto Rico.
Father,
Yeah, something about
get out of the car as well.
Okay. They get Puerto Rico, right?
Take them to go do stuff.
So they get Puerto Rico. Is it about how they get Puerto Rico?
Yeah.
Yeah. So there's Puerto Rico, boom.
Puerto Rico.
Puerto Rico.
Puerto Rico.
No, stop. Please. Please, we don't need that.
That's not mine. Put mine open. For all you know, we're talking about like the shots put in your arm.
For all I know, you
What?
could have been talking about. For all I know, you could have been talking about the shots fired in the middle of the bay,
I could.
but you still don't need to be singing about it.
We could talk about getting shots. I'm going
Please
to get
don't
my
talk about getting
vaccination
shots.
shot.
Yeah.
Shots.
Please don't sing about it though. It's kind of. It's kind of.
I need to get my vaccination. I'm gonna walk into the doctor's office doing that.
You're gonna walk into the what office?
I'm gonna walk into the doctor's office and be like, shots. Band-aids everywhere. Yeah. I actually could say I like to party it.
You know, you worry me. You worry me a little bit. Just a little bit. Okay. So who has
Me.
yeah. That's the part I want you to focus on.
Does everyone want to tell me what the kids are straight at me on one of these bowls? They're like arrested. They like throw me on the floor.
Michaela.
That's right. Right.
They're gonna like have to block your face out of the video.
Haha.
Think about this one.
No, I said the cameras was gonna kick me
What are
in
your
the
views
balls.
on
And I'm like,
marijuana?
What are my views on legalizing? My view is that it has little to nothing to do with American imperialism
Hey, it could
and
because it's probably a
anti-isolationism.
cash crop. Hawaii.
It could have. All right, are we ready?
no.
Are we close at least? Okay. You can put that right on my desk.
Pineapple naughty.
We're all war pandas.
Oh, please.
Instead of the triangle, it's just.
And your feature
Yeah, like a lot. Pineapple, and then we got the like the sprout on the top.
Is that a new game?
Yeah.
The pineapple crew.
I wanna do it, but
Yeah, what would you do instead?
they're gonna be like, arrested.
She's a real.
You would do what you said? Okay, so you did
They
right
like
now.
take me in for
I would do what he
questioning. They're like, what gang are you in?
And why?
Pineapple crew.
There's one game
Pineapple
here.
gang you.
Turn up you up.
They just like slap my
pineapple.
Stop it.
The pineapple crew.
The gay
Look,
pandas.
we've got a gang song for our game.
Yeah, work on.
Play it.
See, it's a pineapple.
Pineapple is a little.
Okay, guys,
We need gangbusters.
guys, all right. We should be coming into the home stretch here. Hopefully my 1890 is about ready.
Why 1890?
Who's 1890?
Who has 1890?
1890.
Is it CJ?
Don't put pressure on 1890.
Is it CJ?
Um,
Do you have 1890, CJ?
1890.
Yes. CJ has 1890.
I'm putting pressure on you.
Stop it.
All the pressure.
That's not cool. Not cool,
Use
man.
the force.
All right.
Dun, 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 dun.
Because I don't want to go out of order exactly, I'm going to give you guys a few more moments. Just
I think
to
he's
shut
ready.
up.
I think he's ready.
Are you ready? All right, cool.
Yes.
Go right on up. Put your picture up.
That's
I handed you a picture. I handed you a picture. Okay. So, who do we have? Who do we have?
It's not on.
Oh. On the back of your sheets, if you flip over, there are 12 open spaces. Why would I only give you 12 open spaces if
So
we're
there's
going to
only
cover
12
13 events? No, if there was 13 events.
Because we're not
what-
covering our event.
Exactly. So you already know when your event happened and what happened in your event, so you don't need to write it down. Okay? SMRT. There you go.
Marty.
Wait.
Alright,
Oh.
SMRT. Okay. So put down your date, the date that it happened,
Not 1890.
okay?
1890.
What the event is, and what its impact is on foreign policy.
1890.
Who's that dude?
Okay? And this is going to be for your notes. Okay. Alfred Thayer Mann, yes.
What do you do?
So Alfred Thayer Mann, what's he do?
The date is the 1890.
Just pretty much straight up 1890 because it was such a big event that that's the entirety of that year. Okay?
While during this event, Alfred D. Mahan wanted to build naval power in order to protect around countries and the United States. And he built steel-hulled cruiser. He built 9 steel-hulled cruisers to be able to protect around the area, I can say.
Protect our coasts, right?
Yep.
All right. And then what does that have to do with imperialism? What does he advocate in his book? That we, or in the article like we read about, if you remember. Remember we read an article that was written by Admiral Mann? And it was talking about how we need to be more imperialistic so we have the ability to export and send our products overseas and do all that sort of great stuff. So he's
Snaps.
Foreign policy?
Number 3.
number 3. Look at number 3.
Sorry.
Well, for number 3, I pretty much said that the United States used to practice isolationism, but Mahan didn't think it was a good plan, so he rather did imperialism than isolationism.
Okay.
Because he wants to, since he built cruisers and protecting other countries, he wants to get into foreign policies and stuff like that.
Okay, yeah, so, I mean, this really is the opening shot of imperialism overtaking isolationism as our foreign policy. That's our main idea. Okay? This is where it really starts to take off. In fact, for years, his book was carried by every captain of just about every navy in the world. okay, as to the reason why A, navies are super important, and B, why you have to be imperialistic and take on those foreign policies in foreign countries and what they do for us. Okay, so what do you think would be one example of how the isolationists would have viewed what he was suggesting?
They will oppose it because they probably don't even want the United States to be helping them out and stuff like that.
Right. Prior to this, I mean, we fought the Civil War. We've had we've been looking internally a lot, and he's one of the first ones saying, no, we have to start looking externally, start looking at other locations. Okay, and is there an alternative to the way that he suggests handling this, or do you think that he's right on the money? Is he the only way?
I think his plan is good because I say that what he's doing is a good thing, because if a country is in need, even though they don't need help, we can help them now, protect them from any enemies that come upon the United States or them. So we have cruisers that can protect and look out.
Okay, so yeah, so because of Alfred T. Mann, we now have a navy that can help out other countries in our area, that can help out other countries around the world, that can protect less developed countries from other more developed countries. European powers come to mind. So, very good, very good. Thank you, CJ. Can we give him like a golf clap or something? Boom. Yay, thank you. All right, who has 1897?
David. I'm assuming he doesn't have it.
Okay.
1897.
As a clue, right up here, there should be a date. It should say 1897.
I say 98.
1898.
1898.
1898, like the majority of people.
Majority of people have 1898. I know that. There should have been 1897.
Maybe
Checked
you
it last night.
Maybe Mr. Sarah.
Sarah,
Sarah has
didn't turn it in.
I got June 11th, 1898.
Oh, wow.
I'm good.
Well,
Mitchell and or DeVito.
All right.
May 1.
1898. 1898. Don't believe it's a ticket.
it's mine, my attention.
It's
No, to
just because you just finished doesn't mean you don't get to, you don't have to get up and present something. Come on, what can you tell us about? You don't have to get up then, if you're gonna be shy about it, but it's okay.
I understand that.
So, what does this represent? Danielle, what can you tell us?
It was the yellow journalism on Cuban insurrection, and
So it's yellow journalism, okay? It's about the Cuban insurrection, right? Now we've gone over yellow journalism a couple times, so
Wait, what was the date?
1897. It was January of 1897, but this is when it really starts to take off, where that competition between William Randolph and William Randolph Hearst and what's the other gentleman's name?
Joseph Pulitzer.
Thank you, Mr. Sarah.
Sorry, I thought you were asking the class.
Okay. So and Joseph Pulitzer. This is when that rivalry takes off. Okay. And what do we know about yellow journalism, Danielle?
it's used to get people's attention.
Okay. It's used to get people's attention.
It's exaggerated.
It's exaggerated. Okay. What else can we say about it?
It bumps up readership.
Bumps up readership. Usually it's sensationalistic.
In this case,
Okay.
I was trying to get the U.S. mobilized, trying to get the people to agree with going to war.
Okay. And generally speaking, it has a purpose. And in this case, as Danielle would tell us, it's to get us to go to war, right? Okay. So what do you have for foreign policy? How does it affect our foreign policy?
I said it pushes them into the foreign policy.
Okay, so it's going to start actually pushing us into that idea of foreign policy. Prior to this, our foreign policy was, if you don't bother us, we're not going to bother you, and just don't look at us too hard. Okay.
Beautiful.
Now we're saying, hey, we can actually have an impact on another country's future, another country's politics. Okay, and give us an explanation of how that's a shift from isolationism.
I said it focus on the military strength in the markets and manifest destiny.
Okay, so it's going to focus on military strength. It gives us a view of manifest destiny as being something more than just, from sea to shining sea. We're even looking overseas now. Okay?
Okay.
And then, class, how do you guys think that the isolationists would have viewed this idea of pushing us into war?
They would have cried and screamed.
Probably cried and screamed and said how this is not a good idea, how this is something that's not good for the U.S. Let's see, an explanation of, an example of how the isolation of you got that, and then give an alternative method of handling the situation, and if you cannot, why. Me personally, I know that my alternative view would have been to report the facts and to not try and sensationalize things. I don't know if all of you would agree to that necessarily, but that's at least what I would have done.
Question everything.
Question everything. That's another good idea. All right. So
Jet fuel.
we have a very busy year in 1898. Who had something in January of 1898? No Januaries?
My friend had a birthday.
No Januaries of 1898. How about Februaries of 1898? No Februaries?
No.
How about March? And this is a busy year, right? Because most of this war is fought in 1898. So it can't just be, a couple months, can it?
Yeah.
I mean, this war, it has to be something long and protracted because that's the way wars are, right?
No.
Oh no, maybe Mr. McQuaid's trying to make a point.
You are.
Okay, so if we don't have anything in March, how about April?
No.
I totally don't have anything in April.
You totally don't have anything in April? Are you totally fibbing about having not having anything
I
in
am
April?
totally sure I don't have anything about April.
Are you sure you don't have anything about April?
Yeah. That says Maple.
It says April. Okay, who has something in April then?
I do, cut.
Okay. So April 19th, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Please stand up, put up your picture and tell us what happened on April 19th.
Dang it.
See, this is what happens when you use teen angst. Come on.
Blah, blah, blah. War against Spain was declared, and the Tiller Amendment was passed restricting any taking over of Cuba.
Okay. So then what does that mean about our foreign policy? How does that relate to our foreign policy?
War was a big part of foreign policy.
Okay, war is a big part of foreign policy. And are we declaring war on somebody that has been outwardly aggressive to us in an obvious way?
I plead the fifth.
Or have they been, has a ship accidentally exploded in one of their harbors and they've been really apologetic about it and tried to make amends to us and tried to make things better and even tried to pay us off, and we still declare war against them?
Yeah.
That second one? You want to say that second one, Mr. McQuaid?
Yeah.
Can you say that second one, Mr.
That
McQuaid?
second one.
Okay, that second one, Mr. McQuaid. So, we have declared war against a country that has pretty much been, has in the past been something of an ally to us, because we've been pushed to it through yellow journalism, through looking at imperialism, and through wanting to have these extra lands that we eventually develop. How is that a shift from isolationism?
Because we were getting involved in Cuba's events.
Okay, we're getting involved in Cuba's events. That's exactly right. She's done good work for us, right? And how do you think the isolationists viewed that event?
It was a bad idea that wouldn't benefit us.
Okay, so isolationists believed it wouldn't benefit us. Are they correct? That's a debate for a later time. Okay. And then what would be your alternative method of handling the situation if you could? And if you cannot come up with one, why can't you come up with one?
I couldn't, because without the U.S. support, Cubans could have gained independence.
Okay. And that's a very valid reason for supporting this. Without it, the support of a larger power, it would be hard for the Cubans to have come up with a different, with independence. All right. So that was in April of 1898. Who has actual May of 1898? Ah, Mitchell.
Yes, Moon.
Does anybody else have an actual May of 1898?
Actually, is J.
Anybody? Okay, cool. So, come on up. Tell us what you got. Put up your picture. Be involved in the class. Move around.
Go, Mitchell.
Love the outfit, bro.
Some outfits.
Here's the thing. You actually were in uniform. You could have looked so perfect for what you're about to present to us.
Yeah.
Because it had to do with the military.
So what happened was May 1st.
What happened?
Yeah.
They defeated the Spanish squadron.
Which Spanish squadron?
The one by the Philippines.
Okay, that was in what bay? It's a specific bay. It's on your piece of paper.
Okay.
Specific bay right there. It's like second line.
Manila.
Manila Bay.
Oh, Manila Bay.
Okay. So they defeated that squadron. How long did it take them to defeat it?
6 hours.
6 hours to defeat it. So would you say that the Spanish squadron was outclassed, outgunned, and overpowered?
Yeah.
Okay. So how does that relate to foreign policy?
Well, it's the U.S. was imposing its military strength on another country, which that's dealing with other countries. That's imperialism.
Okay, well, it's foreign policy dealing with other countries. I don't know if it's necessarily always imperialism, but yes, that's definitely foreign policy. So,
well, the means they're doing it, then it was foreign policy, or
it was imperialism.
imperialism.
Yes, the
Because
means
they were
used.
trying to
Okay.
free Cuba and all those people.
Cubans.
Okay. So, how is this a shift from isolationism? And other than the direct shift of we're trying to impose our will on them. No.
Well, before that, the United States wouldn't open up to other countries. They wouldn't open their markets up to anyone else. But with the increasing economy and the military, then it gave them all the more reason to.
Okay. And how do you think isolationists viewed the event in question?
They didn't like it.
Pretty accurate. Okay. And is there an alternative method to handling that situation that you can see?
Let Cuba suffer.
I don't know. I might have even said
That's not how I would have done it.
okay. How would you have done it?
No.
How would you have done it?
Went the same way.
I would have like blew up.
Would you have
Cuba or
attacked?
something.
If you're trying to free Cuba, if you're trying to free Cuba, would you have attacked Manila in the Philippines
Most likely not, because that is
on the other side of the world?
not Cuba.
Exactly. Okay. So there we go. Mitchell would not have attacked the Philippines, and I agree with him.
Yeah,
that-
I still could attack Philippines and like separate a resort there for presidential access and everything on it.
Oh, you want to set up a resort?
So
for
resort.
Okay.
They call it the Philippines work.
All right. So Mitchell had May of 1898, who has
What month comes after May, Mr. McQuaid?
June. I had to run through it in my head real quick. Don't make fun of me.
I do.
June. Okay, so wait a minute. June's a pretty busy month. Who else has June?
I have June.
Okay.
June
So
11th?
I have 18.
June 11th.
18th,
15.
15th, 11th,
I'm up. Yes.
11th. Okay. Mr. Sarek wins.
It's like that moment when you have to run through the ABCs in your head.
Okay, so I had June 11th, 1898, and I had William McKinley. William McKinley's president. He's given a speech to Congress. What he's trying to do is encourage the annexation of the Philippines. And you might want to make note that annexation means to kind of formally adopt, or to kind of formally bring in. So what they wanted to do is bring in...
The Philippines?
Did I say the Philippines?
Yes, you said
Sorry,
the
I meant
Philippines.
Hawaii. My bad. I meant Hawaii. He's trying to formally bring in Hawaii, annex them into the United States. Assimilate kind of is more along the lines of like an actual people, like Native Americans, immigrant groups coming in to assimilate, to adopt culture. We're talking about actually physically bringing in that land under the umbrella of the United States. If you want to make note, he says he justifies this by giving us access to China. And remember, you guys talked about in class the other day, the reason that we need these kind of stopping points in the middle of the ocean, like Hawaii on the way to Asia, is for refueling and resupplying of those ships. We have ships today that can stay out at sea for months and months, and for indefinitely, really. At that time, they needed to refuel. Okay. Let's see, how it relates to foreign policy is basically the United States acquiring overseas territories. That was specific to Hawaii. He says he wants to do it to give us access to China, and I think China was probably to gain new markets as a way to sell our products to other people. I said that was a shift from isolationism because if we were isolated, we wouldn't be getting involved. We wouldn't be annexing foreign lands. Very good. Very good. I said the isolationists would oppose that because they would say that the people of Hawaii and the people of China should have their own sovereignty, that we shouldn't be annexing and bringing them under our territory. We should leave them alone and let them rule themselves. And then an alternate method that I came up with would be to negotiate like a tariff reduction. Tariffs at the time in the United States were very, very high. They were very high under McKinley on Hawaii, bringing in sugar from Hawaii, so I thought that maybe lowering those tariffs would increase trade without annexation, without taking over other places. Is that all you guys need?
Yeah.
Impact on foreign policy, everybody able to kind of get an answer to that?
Yep. I think we got that.
Alright. And I
All
had
right.
pineapple.
He had a pineapple. Okay. So, Mr. Sarek had the 11th of June. Who has something following the 11th of June, and who is closer? Sawa. Okay, Sawa, what do we got?
Mine was June 15th. I'm gonna get my paper.
That's a good idea.
Not professional.
Speak up. There you
The Anti-Imperialist League was assembled.
Okay, so on June 15th, almost immediately after the whole Hawaii debacle, the Anti-Imperialist League is assembled, right? Okay, so what else can you tell me about your event?
They were assembled so that they could educate people about why we should go back to isolationism.
Okay, so they were assembled to educate people about why we should step back towards isolationism. And then how does that relate to foreign policy?
Because we're trying to stop imperialism.
They're trying to stop imperialism. So they're trying to stop imperialism. So they're trying. They are. How does that give an example of a shift from isolationism, or in your case, is it a shift back to?
It's a shift back to isolationism.
Okay, so it's an attempt to shift back to isolationism. Very good. And then, one example of how the isolationists would have viewed this. You're the only one who gets to say this.
They viewed it as a good thing because it was supporting isolation.
Okay, so the isolationists would have viewed this as a good thing because the anti-imperialists are isolationists.
Ooh,
Yay.
yeah.
So, I know it sounds crazy to say it, but, and then, give an alternative method of handling this situation, and if you cannot, why?
I thought it was a good enough
A good enough?
method.
A good enough method?
A good method.
Okay, I would say that it was actually a pretty good method, and when you and I were talking earlier, you said it was a really good method. I thought that was a really good way to say that, because we're talking about educating people, trying to inform their decision-making skills, trying to give them an alternative and an alternative viewpoint.
You feel like staff
Okay.
all this shit, so you can't go anywhere, and you can't ever have a foreign policy.
Okay. So, Miss Lee.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay, mine was the 18th of June, 1898. So the U.S. Secretary of the U.S. Navy, right, ordered Commodore William T. Sampson to create a new squadron for possible raiding and bombardment missions along the coast of Spain. So that relates to foreign policy because they're being more aggressive,
Aggressive. There we go. Okay.
ordering attacks, trying to protect the U.S. And that's a shift from isolationism because,
We're attacking.
yeah,
Okay. So instead of just passively sitting by and letting people,
Die.
die, that would be one way to look at it. We're preparing to go out and raid in Spain and attack.
isolationists didn't
Okay.
like that.
So, all right. And then how would the isolationists have viewed it?
They didn't like it
Didn't like it.
because they were intervening in foreign affairs.
Okay.
And an alternative method of handling the situation could be no military force.
Okay. As of this point in time, there's been no need for military force against Spain, so,
It wasn't necessary.
we don't need them. Okay. Thank you very much, Ms. Lee.
What's the date again?
Okay.
June 18th. All right. So, that finishes up June for us. Who's got July?
Your turn.
Not me.
A squadron was created to attack.
Come on up, sir.
July.
So,
July.
keep in mind, when did we actually declare war? When did we actually declare war?
April 19th.
April 19th. Okay. So, David, what is happening in July?
Dave, what happens in July?
Okay.
War's over.
The Spanish government wanted to negotiate with the U.S. to end the war.
Okay. So by July, we're negotiating to end the war.
Because they know that they don't win.
Okay. So, give us more details of your event, please.
Jules Campbell initiated who was an ambassador from the French government, was sent by the Spanish government to set up negotiations to end the war.
Okay.
So,
Okay. And then, how do you think that relates to our foreign policy?
it would end the war, and
Okay. And ending a war is a pretty big aspect of foreign policy. Also, we've just now won the war, right? Because they're the ones trying to concede defeat. So,
Surrender.
yeah, surrender. So, if that probably sets up the, we're right to be imperialistic, possibly. All right. How do you think the isolationists would have viewed this event?
they were elected because it would have ended a foreign war.
Okay.
They probably would have disliked it because we kind of forced them to.
Okay. So it's going to have two sides to a coin. Okay. There's going to be the side that says, "Hey, this is really great because we've now ended the war,"
Even though we made it to begin
and
with.
then there's going to be that other side that says, now what are we going to do with what we have wrought, what we have made? All right, and then alternative method. How would you have handled this other way, or is there another way that you would have handled this?
Well, it's not how I'll handle it, but another way they could have done it was they could have just called off all the negotiations and kept the war going.
Okay, so the other option is for Spain to keep the war going.
And then we
Okay.
have Spain taking over by the United States.
Okay, so thank you, sir.
Then
All right.
we'll have the
Um,
state of Spain.
So that's July. Anybody else have July? Okay, August. Who has August? How many Augusts do I have? Just the one? Okay. Please go, sir.
Wait,
Or
two?
go.
No.
Oh, I thought you were doing.
I have a date.
Just one.
What's my name? August 14th.
I've got, yeah, 14th.
Alright.
August the 14th.
Yeah.
Yo, I just guessed. I am
Good
impressed.
job.
Good job.
All right.
I'm going to
Alright, so on 14th, the event was that General Wesley Merritt was established as a military governor of Manila under the United States.
Okay.
Was what?
The U.S. established General Wesley Merritt as a military governor of Manila.
Okay.
Everyone,
Got that? All right.
way that it relates to foreign policy is that the U.S. was enforcing their presence by establishing a military governor in Manila. This was an imperialist action.
Exactly. Okay, so we're setting up a military governor in a foreign country. Okay, so yeah, you've pretty well explained the shift then when you said it's an imperialist action.
The U.S.
But
is now asserting their dominance on the rest of the world.
okay, thank you. And then how would the isolationists have viewed that event?
It was a heavy imperialist move. It was aggressive, and that we're basically just asserting ourselves on them for no good reason.
Okay, very good. And then give an alternative method of handling the situation. How else could we have done it?
There wouldn't really have been much of a better way to do it because it was necessary to have a presence there to get to China, and there was no really alternative way to establish a presence there
Okay.
because they wouldn't agree with it passively.
Okay.
take over China.
I will accept that viewpoint. All right. So that was August, September.
Oh yeah, that was August 14th, 1898, by the way.
Okay.
I didn't say that.
Do
So-
countries float or do they attach to the ground?
What was that?
Is it like water underneath
Attached to the ground.
or
No,
do they like
no,
really
they don't-
attach
they don't
to
float.
the ground?
Okay, so no September. How about October? No October. How about November? Yay!
I know what happened in
You're
November.
not quite dead yet,
What is it?
Okay.
November.
November.
November 9th.
So when is your event in November? November 10th.
Okay, November 10th,
775.
1898.
Right.
Ready.
November 10th, 1898.
We're gonna go over birthday.
That
November
is the
10th.
USS Maine, the ship.
Okay. And what does that have to do with our event?
Okay, the event was a bunch of Cuban generals met to try to help the needs of the Liberation Army and to establish a government. But the U.S. ignored their call for help, and so they said that they declared war on Spain just because of the USS Maine sinking and other actions.
Okay. So what do you think that had to do with our foreign policy?
The U.S. declared war on the imperialistic Spain because it harmed the U.S.
Okay. So it's almost like it's a justification that we weren't going in to try and influence foreign policy. We were doing it because of something that Spain supposedly did to us. Okay. So, give an explanation of how this is a shift from isolationism.
The U.S. moved into Cuban's affairs and fighting a different country, so it wasn't isolated.
Okay, so we were no longer isolated because we moved into Cuban affairs. I would give an addendum to that, that this is because they're making this argument that it's all because of the USS Maine, they're trying to justify the fact that we entered into this by saying that it has more to do with something that we weren't trying to be isolated. We were trying to stay isolated. Really, guys, we were trying to stay isolated. They started throwing punches. Okay, so.
That was the first.
How do you think the isolationists would have viewed that event?
They would have opposed the U.S.'s declaration of war because it wasn't the U.S. They wanted the U.S. to solve their own problems first, and instead of being other countries. And
Okay. And then, what would be an alternative method of handling the situation?
instead of declaring war, they could just send supplies to Cuban armies and stuff instead of
Okay.
actually getting into the war.
All right, cool. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you very much. Okay, so that brings us up to December,
December.
and I have December 21st.
I look with me.
December 10th. She beats me.
November 10th was also the 23rd, 123rd anniversary of the Marine Corps.
Wait, how much?
Wait, what?
123 years since the United States
Oh,
Marine
okay.
Corps was established in 1775, November 10th.
Okay,
Background.
ma'am.
We went with, they signed a ceasefire agreement, peace treaty for more than for the Spanish-American War.
Okay. And what happens when we sign that peace treaty? What do we get out of that peace treaty? Well, we buy the Philippines, but the flag is right there of what we get. Puerto Rico. Good job, thank you. So we get Puerto Rico. And how does that relate to our foreign policy?
It allowed the United States to be with other foreign countries.
Okay. All right. I would also say that we are now taking over basically colonies. We have protectorates. Okay. And how is this a shift from isolationism?
They didn't want the United States to have more land.
Okay. And then can you think of an alternative method of handling this event? No? Okay. I would agree that we did have to eventually end the war and sign a ceasefire. So, yeah, good job. Now, I have December 21st, 1898, and that is when President McKinley issues the Benevolent Assimilation Proclamation that cedes the Philippines to the United States. And he instructs the assimilating forces to assimilate them by any means necessary. So he sends in the army.
Go back again.
Okay, so that is the Benevolent Assimilation Proclamation, okay, from President McKinley. And that is the assimilation of the Philippines by the U.S. Army by any means necessary. Okay? So, by any means necessary, you can probably figure out means whatever you have to do. If you have to be violent and take matters into your own hand.
I don't know how to spell benevolent.
Benevolent. Benevolent.
Benevolent.
Okay.
What was the date?
That was December the 21st, 1898. Okay? Now, he sends out that proclamation to the military before he even obtains ratification of the peace treaty with Spain. So the Senate hasn't ratified the peace treaty. In other words, he is taking preemptive steps to make sure that we control the Philippines. How it relates to foreign policy, we are now directly controlling what was a sovereign nation that had tried to set up its own government.
They failed though.
because we came in and stopped them from doing it. Okay?
Obviously, if you take
How this is a shift from isolationism. If we were being isolationistic, we would never take over a foreign country. Okay? One example of how the isolationists viewed this event, this is actually where Andrew Carnegie and many of the members of the Anti-Imperialist League come out against the federal government, saying that by doing this we are setting ourselves up for failure. Okay? And given an alternative method of handling this situation, we could have allowed the Philippines to set up their own government and tried to sign a treaty with them where we would have gained a naval base just like we had done with Hawaii, where we had a naval base in Hawaii. Okay? Alright,
Troy.
that leaves one last person.
Do I have to get up or can I
To-
just stand over here?
Well, I'd like you to. Oh, you already put your picture up?
Yeah.
Okay, if you can stand up and project enough that we can hear you.
Can I sit down?
You can project enough that we can hear you.
Okay,
Look good for the camera.
the date was 1899, obviously January. The event was U.S. claims Wake Island in the Pacific for cable linking in the Philippines.
Take the
Did anybody resist them taking Wake Island in the Philippines?
No.
No. Why do you think no one resisted them taking Wake Island in the Philippines?
Because Wake Island really gave a crap about.
Okay.
Nice.
There also weren't many inhabitants of Wake Island. However, we took it. So, what else can you tell us about this? How does that affect? How does it relate to foreign policy?
I said the U.S. gets land in another area, imperialism practically.
Okay. So, and not only do we get land in another area, we get land by walking onto it and planting our flag and saying this is now ours. Okay. Give an explanation of how it's a shift from isolationism. It's a direct shift because.
Yeah, they just went and took another area.
Yep. Went in and took another area. I'm going to skip over how you think that the isolationists would have viewed it, but an alternative method of handling the situation. What else could we have done?
So they could have gone to the owner and tried to buy it from them, but it was kind of pointless.
Kind of pointless because nobody really owned it that we know of.
Yeah.
Okay, so you have now filled out that chart that's on the back. If you look below that chart, you will see some further directions.
You have until Friday to write a 2-paragraph essay on your event. How impacted foreign policy and how it demonstrates the shift from a policy of isolationism to a policy of imperialism.
Okay, so don't lose your little slip of paper that tells you what your event was. Okay, and actually what we're going to be able to do is, because of scheduling issues and some problems, you're actually going to get to do this in class tomorrow, writing this 2-paragraph essay. Okay, so instead of having homework, you actually will get to have classwork where you get to do this in class. Okay?
Is that
All right.
any better?
Is
that supposed to be any better? Yes.
yes,
doing an
because-
essay.
Yes, but you're not doing it on your own time at home. You're doing it on my time here with us. Okay. So, ladies and gentlemen, thank you.
As long as you're gonna help me.
Of course I'll help you. I always help you.